Hi, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the Young Brother of Soul podcast show. I think you already know who it is. It is me, your guy, the Young Brother of Soul. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to the Oak Lane Wildcats cheerleading squad. I'm so proud of every young ladies. They swept the Battle of Broad Street. It was such a good competition to be at. And shout out to the other teams that did really well, like the Aztecs, the Blackhawks, the Gators, the Chargers. Give a shout out to them too because they did their thing too. But like I said, my daughter she's on the Oakland Wildcats. But like I said, I want to give a shout out to them. They did their thing. I'm so very proud of y'all. Keep up the good work. Don't let nothing or nobody stops you. The only thing that stops you is yourself. I also want to give a shout out to my hometown Philadelphia Eagles. Have they defeated the Minnesota Vikings? Jalen Hurts did his thing. Now I know it's still early in the season, but you never know. This might be a good turnaround. But we'll talk about that later. And I definitely did not forget about my friends or my family that definitely want to be on the Young Brother Soul podcast show. Now the Young Brother Soul ain't forget about y'all. Trust me. So on today's episode, what I'm going to be talking about top NFL rivalries. Now, I know some of y'all may be like, okay, well, this rivalry is too new, this rivalry is this and that. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, leave a comment. But other than that, everybody knows what a rivalry is. It's the same two teams that play each other year in, year out, but they may play in the postseason or they may play in the divisional. Teams that can't stand each other, players that can't stand another player, coaches can't stand another coach, fans can't stand other fans. I mean, that's all over in the NFL, but you have your good rivalries. And not only that you have your great rivalries. I'm going to start off with the oldest rivalry in the NFL. And that rivalry is the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. Oh boy, what a rivalry. This rivalry started back in 1921. Now, the Bears are the second oldest team in the league, and the Packers are the third oldest team in the league. Yeah, they go way back. That's why they're the oldest rivalry in the league right now. They had 210 meetings. Yes, 210 meetings. I believe that is the most meetings out of every rivalry, or you get what I'm saying, in the NFL. The Packers lead the all time record 108 wins to 96 losses and 6 ties. Now these two met in the postseason twice, believe it or not. And you would think that they would meet more times since they been in the league since the 1910s or the 20s. Yeah, no, they only met in the postseason twice. They met in 1941, which the Chicago Bears defeated the Packers, and eventually they won the NFL championship that year. And they met in 2010 in the NFC championship, which I thought the Bears was going to win that because their defense was crazy that year. But Aaron Rodgers, oh boy, the great Aaron Rodgers, he basically owns the Bears. And he would go on and win the Super Bowl that year, Super Bowl 45. And till this day, this rivalry has been going on. I mean, it's been going on since George Hollis and Curly Lambeau. Of course, George Hollis and um, Vince Lombardi. Excuse me, I almost forgot about the late great Vince Lombardi. Wow. And of course, you had Brett Favre and Jim McMahon and Walter Payton, Reggie White when he was with the Packers. But other than that, yeah, this is a heck of a rivalry. They really do not like each other. And like I said, it's still going on to this day. Yeah, since 1921. That's over 100 years. Yeah. Another great rivalry in the NFL is between the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they first met in 1960. They only had 41 meetings. The 49ers leads the all-time series 21 wins, 19 losses, and one tie. Of course, the Cowboys leads the postseason all-time 5-4. Now, believe it or not, these teams have met in the playoffs 6 times, but they met in the NFC Championship 6 times. Believe it or not. Now, I know some of y'all be like, they met in the NFC Championship 6 times. How? Well, they met 1970, 1971 NFC Championship. Of course, the Cowboys won them. They met in the 1981 NFC Championship, which was the catch, Joe Montana to Dwight Clark. Then, of course, they met in 1992 and 1993 NFC Championships. The Cowboys won those. And then in 1994, the Cowboys lost to the 49ers. The 49ers finally got their revenge. But in those years, the Cowboys won the Super Bowl. Then in 49ers won the Super Bowl. So, yeah, that definitely is a heck of a rivalry. I mean, to this day, they're still meeting in the playoffs. Of course, the 49ers won, what, the last two or three or something like that. But other than that, yeah, that is a heck of a rivalry. So, and then they both have 5 Super Bowls. So that shows you that this rivalry is not going to stop. I'm going to tell you that right now. Another great rivalry in the NFL is between the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. This is the battle of New York versus Boston. They first met in 1960. They met over 132 times. The Patriots leads the series 75-56 and one draw. Yeah, 75 wins, 56 losses, and one tie. I really don't like ties in the NFL. I really don't. No. They met in the postseason 3 times. The Pats leads the series. And of course, the Pats beat the Jets in the playoffs in 1985 and 2006. But the Jets got their revenge in 2010. Of course, the rivalry went on later when Tom Brady and the Patriots versus Eric Mangini. Of course, they in 2007 they had the Spygate. Yeah, they had the Spygate. We already know what happened in 2007. The Patriots went undefeated, but they lost the Super Bowl. So, yeah, that definitely is a great rivalry because Bill Parcells was the head coach of the Patriots at one time. Then he went to the Jets, and then of course Bill Belichick was supposed to be the head coach, and then he resigned and went to the New England Patriots. And I think we already know what happened. I think we already know what happened after that. 6 Super Bowls, and what if Bill Belichick would have never left the Jets? Yeah, there's always a what if, what if, what if, what if, but it didn't happen. Another great rivalry of all time, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Las Vegas Raiders. This meeting has been going on since the AFL days. They met in 1960. They definitely are a divisional rivalry, but this is a great rivalry. They met over 133 times. The Chiefs lead the series 76 wins, 55 losses, and 2 ties. And of course, the Chiefs leads the postseason 2-1. I mean, the Raiders beat the Chiefs in the playoffs in 1968, but the Raiders did lose to the Chiefs in the AFL Championship, which was the last AFL Championship. 1969 and in 1991, the Chiefs beat the Raiders again. And in 1969, of course, the Chiefs went on to win the World Series. World Series. Super Bowl. Only thing is the difference between the Chiefs and the Raiders. Well, Raiders have 3 Super Bowls. The Chiefs have 4. So, yeah. And then, of course, Patrick Mahomes came along and he definitely beat the Raiders a lot. So, yeah. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Another great rivalry in the NFL, of course, is the San Francisco 49ers and the New York Giants. Now, they first met in 1952. They met 43 times. The 49ers, excuse me, I don't know what's going on. The 49ers lead the league, all-time lead, 22 to 21. And they met in the postseason 8 times. The series is actually tied. But on the other hand, they met twice in the NFC Championship, 4 times in the divisional rounds, and 2 times in the wild card. Now, the NFC Championships that they met, mm, the Giants won both of them. They won in 1986. They blew them out. And of course, the Giants won that Super Bowl, their first. And in 2011, the Giants defeated the 49ers in the NFC Championship, which they won another Super Bowl. So, yeah, they definitely have a good rivalry between Phil Simms, LT, well, the original LT, Lawrence Taylor. And then you have Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, and them. So, yeah, they've been going at it for a long time. Well, not as long as the oldest rivalry, but that definitely is a good rivalry because they always go at each other. But I never forget the 2002 wild card game. The Giants had the 49ers beat, and look what happened. The 49ers came back and won the game. So, yeah, yeah. Well, the only difference between them is the 49ers, of course, have 5 Super Bowls and the Giants have 4. So, yeah, that definitely is a heck of a rivalry. Another great rivalry, of course, is my hometown team, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Giants. Now, these is, I believe, the second oldest rivalry. They met in 1933. They have played each other 188 games. And believe it or not, the Eagles lead the series 96 wins, 90 losses, and 2 ties. And the Eagles lead the postseason series against the Giants. Believe it or not, the Giants actually beat the Eagles in the playoffs twice. They beat them in 1981. Yeah, they beat us in 1981. And they beat us in 2000 in the wild card. But the Eagles defeated the Giants in 2006, 2008, which was the Giants were the defending Super Bowl champions, and we recently defeated them in the playoffs in 2022. We beat them 38-7. Now, this is definitely a rivalry. I do not like the New York Giants. Of course I don't, because I'm from Philadelphia, and this is the battle between New York versus Philadelphia. They definitely do not like each other. I mean, well, their first time meeting in 1933, the Giants actually blew out the Eagles 56-0. So, yeah, that was crazy. But we don't like them. They don't like us. So, yeah. Of course, they don't like us because I got family in New York, so they talk their trash. We talk our trash. So, yeah, that definitely is a good rivalry between Philadelphia and New York. Another great rivalry, of course, we're going to talk about. I don't know, maybe this rivalry is too new, but the Ravens and the Steelers. The Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this rivalry started back in 1996. Of course, yeah, the Cleveland Browns. Maybe I should have thought about putting a rivalry between the Browns and the Steelers, but I think the Ravens and Steelers rivalry is better than the Browns. Yeah, because they're the Browns, but they first met in 1996 and they met 63 times. Now, of course, they had a divisional rivalry, but the Steelers lead the all-time record 36 wins and 27 losses. The Steelers lead the postseason 3-2. Believe it or not, the Ravens are, how can I say, Pittsburgh rivalry. Yeah, they are. The Steelers beat the Ravens 3 times in the playoffs in 2001, the 2008 AFC Championship, and in 2010 in the divisional round. But of course, the Ravens got their revenge in 2014 and 2024. Baltimore and Pittsburgh, they definitely do not like each other. I mean, that rivalry is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Of course, you had the great Ben Roethlisberger, Ray Lewis, Heinz Ward. That was and still is a great rivalry. Of course, you still got Lamar Jackson, but yeah, yeah. Believe it or not, these two are definitely going to be facing each other for a very long time. So I guess we have nothing to worry about, right? Another great rivalry of all time is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Green Bay Packers. Oh boy. Now, this is a heck of a rivalry right here. These two first met in 1960. They have 40 meetings so far. The Packers lead the all time series 22 wins, 17 losses, and one tie. Now, they met in the postseason 9 times. Yeah, believe it or not, they met 9 times. The Packers lead the all-time series postseason 5-4, and believe it or not, they met in 1966 NFL Championship, the frozen tundra. It was so cold in that game, but of course the Packers won. They met in 1967 NFL Championship. Packers won that one. Yeah, they did. For some reason, they had the Cowboys' number. They beat them in 2014, which that controversial catch with Dez Bryant. They beat them in 2016. Aaron Rodgers threw the ball and the tight end caught it. Then they kicked the field goal. Then, of course, they met in 2023 where the Packers blew them out. I was so happy because I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys. No, I can't. Dallas Cowgirls, but I'm going to just keep it professional, I guess. And, of course, the Cowboys did beat the Packers in the playoffs too in 1982, 1993, 1994, and the 1995 NFC Championship, which the Cowboys won the Super Bowl that year. Cowboys got 5, Packers got 4. So, yeah, they definitely are a rivalry because when they first played each other, it started from Vince Lombardi, Tom Landry. So, you can't tell me that is not a great rivalry. Are they going to continue facing each other? Oh, yeah. Especially in the playoffs. Well, if Dallas make it, but yeah, the Packers they definitely got their number. Yeah. Another great rivalry in the NFL: the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. Now, before I go on with this rivalry, I just want to say Art Modell, who bought the Browns back in what the '60s, he did Paul Brown wrong. Yeah, he did Paul Brown wrong. And then when he fired Paul Brown, what did he do? He went to Cincinnati and founded the Cincinnati Bengals. That's why they are Ohio's rivalry. Ohio. Well, obviously both teams don't have a Super Bowl, so yeah. I mean, Ohio State might be better than those two, but cause they got championships and that's college. But other than that, these two first met in 1970. They are a divisional rivalry. They had 104 meetings. The Bengals lead the all-time series 56 wins to 48 losses. Of course, the Browns got 48 wins against each other. And believe it or not, these two have never met in the playoffs. I'm quite shocked. Well, Cleveland, then again, Cleveland is Cleveland. So, yeah, I mean, oh boy. Poor Cleveland Browns fans. That's all I'm going to say. The number one most snake bitten franchise. And another team that has not appeared in the Super Bowl. Well, that's a different video that I did, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, they definitely are a rivalry because Paul Brown was hurt when Art Modell fired him, and then if you think about it, look at the Bengals. They stayed in Cincinnati while the Browns moved to Baltimore, and the next thing you know, in 1999, the Browns came back and still can't do nothing. Yeah, that definitely is a good rivalry. And not only that, when the Bengals first came into the league, they looked like the Browns. So they just had the Bengals on the side of their helmet. So, yeah, that definitely is a heck of a rivalry. Then you have the Bengals head coach, Steve Weiss, saying to the fans, he got on the microphone saying, if you see somebody throwing snowballs, point them out, say, get them out of here. You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati. That definitely makes a good rival. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Another great rivalry of all time. How can I say this? Indianapolis Colts. Well, you know what? No. Baltimore Colts slash Indianapolis Colts versus the New England Patriots. Now, these is a rivalry because they used to play in the same division. At that time, the Colts used to play in Baltimore. Well, we'll talk about that another time, another video. And they first met in 1970. They met over 104 times. And believe it or not 104 times. I meant to say 85 times. I apologize for that. The Patriots leads the all-time series 53 wins while the Colts have 32 wins. Now, the Patriots lead the postseason 4 wins to 1 loss. They have tortured the Colts. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. And believe it or not, they met in the 2003 AFC Championship. Peyton Manning threw 4 interceptions. Then they got him in 2004 again. 2013, 2014. Well, 2014, that was the AFC Championship against Andrew Luck. So, yeah. But finally, in 2006, the Colts got their revenge back on the Patriots because they were down by 18 and came back, won the game. So, yeah. Kudos to Peyton Manning finally getting his revenge on Tom Brady in the postseason. But other than that, that definitely is a good rivalry between the Colts and the Patriots. I mean, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are definitely not in the league anymore, but this, I don't know about how long this rivalry is going to go on. It's not the same without them two. But hey, what can you go wrong about that? Another great rivalry of all time. Of course, they're in the division, same division, but this rivalry definitely goes way back. San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams. These definitely is a good rivalry. They first met in 1950. They had 183 meetings. Of course, the 49ers lead the series, 79 wins, while the Browns have 71 wins. Browns. Oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on. While the Rams have 71 wins and they both have 3 ties. Believe it or not, these two only met in the postseason twice. Twice. And not only that they met in the postseason twice, they were the NFC Championship. They first met in the 1989 NFC Championship, which the 49ers won, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. And they met in the 2021 NFC Championship, which the Rams won, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. So it's like the battle of the state of California. LA, San Francisco. Yeah, that definitely is a good rivalry. Now, back in those times, of course, you had Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and them, but they were the team of the 80s. So now, is their rivalry still going on? Of course. They're in the same division, but it's still a good rivalry because it goes way back. Yeah, it goes way back. Another great rivalry of all time. The Las Vegas Raiders and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh boy. Now, this rivalry goes way back in 1970. They had 33 meetings. The Raiders, believe it or not, lead the all time series 17 wins, while the Steelers have 16 wins. Now, these two met in the playoffs 6 times. 6 times. And not only that they met in 6 times, 1972. What happened? The Immaculate Reception. Franco Harris caught a deflected ball, ran it for a touchdown. 1974, 1975 AFC Championship. The Steelers beat the Raiders. At that time, they had their number. But in 1973, the Steelers lost to the Raiders in the playoffs game. I believe it was the divisional round. And of course, in 1976, the Raiders finally got their revenge in the AFC Championships, which they went on to win the Super Bowl. And of course, in 1974 and 75, the Steelers won back to back. And they met in 1983. Of course, the Raiders went on to win the Super Bowl that year. Well, they were the LA Raiders, but the Raiders, they move. Like I said, we're going to do another video about that. Relocation. Another great rivalry in the NFL, of course, is the San Francisco 49ers versus the Green Bay Packers. Wow. Now, these two first met in 1950. They have 74 meetings. The Packers lead the all time series 39 wins, while the 49ers have 34 wins, and they have one tie. And they met in the playoffs, believe it or not, 10 times, while the 49ers lead the series 6-4. Now, these two definitely are a good rivalry. They met in the NFC Championship twice. They met in the divisional rounds 5 times, and they met in the wild cards 3 times. I mean, the last time these two were in the NFC Championship was in 2019. They beat the 49ers beat the Packers, but the Packers did defeat the 49ers in the 1997 NFC Championship. Now, this rivalry is, oh man, all I can think of is, of course, at the time, Steve Young and Brett Favre. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, they both have a Super Bowl, but 49ers have 5 and the Packers have 4. So, yeah. But yeah, it definitely is a great rivalry because, of course, like I said, Joe Montana and them, like Brett Favre, yeah, great rivalries. Now, this rivalry definitely will not stop because they definitely meet each other in the playoffs. And they just go at it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, yeah. Another great rivalry of all time. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this rivalry right here definitely is a great rivalry because they first met in 1960. They had 34 meetings, while the Cowboys have 18 wins and the Steelers have 16 wins. Believe it or not, these two met in the Super Bowl 3 times. 3 times. Of course, the Steelers won Super Bowl 10 and Super Bowl 13, but about those Super Bowls, Lynn Swann had a heck of a catch in Super Bowl 10. And then, of course, in Super Bowl 13, tight end Jackie Smith dropped the pass while he was by himself. His foot slipped. But in Super Bowl 30, the Cowboys finally got their revenge against the Steelers. I mean, Neil O'Donnell, he threw it to Larry Brown, their cornerback, like twice. Like, dude, where are you throwing the ball at? Like, what's wrong with you? And believe it or not, that was the last time that the Steelers and the Cowboys played each other in the Super Bowl. I mean, will they ever play each other in the Super Bowl again? I mean, I really don't hope not because I really don't can't I can't stand both of them, especially Dallas. Yeah, Dallas. Mm, mm, mm. And of course, I had to put this rivalry at number one. To me, the all-time rivalry. My hometown team, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Dallas Cowboys. Oh boy, where do I go wrong with them? Now they first met in 1960. They are a divisional rivalry, but we do not like the Dallas Cowboys here in Philadelphia. Then you have some Cowboy fans in Philadelphia, but you have some Eagles fans in Texas. That's what I'm talking about. Of course, the Cowboys lead the series all time to 74 wins, while we have 59 wins, 50 something wins. I don't know. I like I said, I can't stand them. And of course, the Cowboys lead the all time post series. What is it? What, 3-1? Yeah. We did beat them in the 1980 NFC Championship, but they defeated us in 1992 and 1995 divisional rounds, which they did win the Super Bowls those years. And of course, they beat us in the 2009 wild card game. I really don't know what happened during that game, but like I said, yeah, yeah. While the Cowboys do have five Super Bowls, but we have two. But at the end of the day, I do not like the Dallas Cowboys. I do not like them. No, no. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm from Philadelphia. I don't like nobody from New York. No teams from New York. No teams from Boston. No teams from LA. I'm all Philadelphia. I definitely don't like nobody from Dallas. Nah. Mm-mm. No. Another thing is between the Cowboys and the Steelers, Cowboys have five while the Steelers have six. So yeah, 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 yeah. Some honorable mention rivalries, of course, of all time. 49ers versus Seahawks, Bears versus Giants, Bills versus Chiefs, Bengals versus Chiefs, Browns versus Steelers. If y'all feel as though I should have put the Browns and the Steelers rivalry over the Steelers and the Ravens, leave a comment. Then, of course, you have the Texans versus the Titans, and the Rams versus the Vikings, and of course, the Cowboys versus the Vikings. They always played each other in the playoffs back in the day. Of course, the Cowboys were a better team because they won the Super Bowl while the Vikings have none. I mean, at least the Rams have two Super Bowls compared to the Vikings, none. Yeah. Poor Vikings fans. Another honorable mention is in state rivalries. Of course, you have the Giants and the Jets, Battle of New York, Dolphins and Bucks, the Battle of Florida, Texas and Cowboys, the Battle of Texas. And then you have the Eagles versus the Steelers, the Battle of Pennsylvania, and then you have the Rams and the Chargers, the Battle of the City of LA. And then, of course, another good Super Bowl rivalry. Well, as I should say, the Patriots and the Giants, which the Giants beat the Patriots twice. Eli Manning has Tom Brady's number. While Tom Brady has Peyton Manning's number, Eli Manning has Tom Brady's number. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. The first time they beat the Patriots, I was so happy. Then of course they beat them the second time. I was so happy. Then of course my hometown team beat them in Super Bowl 52. I definitely ooh, excuse me. I definitely was happy about that. Yeah. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are your NFL rivalries of all time. But if you feel as though that I made a mistake about something, I know I did, leave a comment. But before we get off, I want everybody to subscribe, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, hit that notification button, and there will be more episodes of the Young Brother of Soul podcast show. So, everybody, be safe, have a good night, and go birds.